It's about 3:29 p.m. here in Kenya, and I always start my video sometimes by telling where I am, though my audience, some of them come later and ask where I'm from. So I'm from Kenya. I'm known as Prissy, and I'm here to do a political analysis. Now, today, let's be serious about the discussion. And I really urge you, if you come about, consider the YouTube community expectations and help me grow, guys. I'm just having about 98 subscribers, and I'm really wishing that I grow very fast, because politics has become a hot topic for us and it's controlling our nation. And I would really wish that many people, be they women, young people, or adults, Andres Blucher, hi, I'm so happy with you. You're a very committed audience. You always come here once I open Live Saga. Yesterday I missed you. You did not appear, but I did something about the situation in Kenya, and so many people came by. I hope that when you get time, you can watch that video, and I'm really appreciative. You can also encourage your friends to come by. Hi, I'm very fine. It's about 3:30 in Kenya currently. Now, guys, I just felt like there is a need to compare the political leaders and how they talk. It really defines a lot about us. The way our politicians speak defines a lot about our country and whether they care or not. So, guys, yesterday I did some video about the CS and all that, but I still feel that comparing the government and those who are outside the government is necessary. However, as we do that, we also have to check on these individuals on the past. And so I hit on this interview where Gachagua was being taken through by journalists or on NTV, just to highlight or come out clear about what happens in the demonstration. Remember, in Parliament, everybody else was pointing a finger at him. In fact, Kimani Ichung'wah was one of the people that really came out clearly saying that Gachagua, as the impeached deputy, the deputy president, or rather, was the one who sponsored, or rather funded, the demonstration that just happened. Now, I want us to start from the point of where we understand maybe the situation in the country and look at these leaders. Now, we'll begin with Gachagua, because I know everybody was really waiting on him. And from the comments, let me start from the comments, maybe, so that you understand what is the people's take on him. Now, I looked at Ricky G's comments, and people are like, I hope Ricky G and NTV read this comment. After every national event, we want Ricky G to talk to us and give us peace of mind. Please like this comment. Another one came out saying, just hit the a thumbs up to show love to Rigathi Gachagua, the truthful man. Another one said, Weka likes the Gachagua hapa. Another one said, on the matter of Gen Zs, he has won my heart. He is smart and greater political scientist. Another one says, I am a Luo from Siaya and I support this truthful man. Time will tell, RUTO must go. Guys, those are the few comments I'm reading. I'm not talking about myself, but I'm just reading some comments on the interview that was held by NTV for Gachagua. So, Gachagua is speaking here, and from what I listened to, Gachagua was proving that he was not funding the protest. And he was asked, why didn't you go to the street? He said if he went, he would not be letting the Gen Zs express themselves. He's only morally supporting them, but he cannot fund them, and neither can he go on the street with them, because the Gen Zs last year expressed interest of they themselves being leaderless, partyless, and going to the streets without the old people. So it's like Gachagua is not for the support of Okia Mtata and people like we saw Kalonzo Musyoka. We also saw there was somebody else on the streets. So he's against the aspect of older people going to the street, the way Raila used to ride on the backs of Gen Zs on the streets, and later on he just got in the broad-based government, riding on their backs and blood, And so Gachagua comes up here, and in an interview, this is what he has to say. I don't know what you think about it. This is Kenya for us. So let's listen to him partly, and after we listen, we can actually make more comments here. Let's get here. We can gather here and listen to this. In an interview, let's start from somewhere before. Yeah. So what did Gachagua say in this interview?
That took place. Michelle, I don't have an answer to such a question because it is totally misinformed, and government people want to run away from the truth. And this government continues to sink in more trouble because of burying their head in the sand. Anytime.
Hey, guys, this is not the first time for Rigathi to say that the government always buries its head in the sand. He always says that leaders blame other people. They always blame other people. They pretend not to see what is happening, even when situations are the worst, even when they should act. And I think here is referring to the past situation of GNCs who were lost in 2024, and the government just dilly-dallied, They never talked about this matter. So let's continue to listen to him and see whether that's actually what he meant. Let's look at this.
Kenyans have expressed themselves about their dissatisfaction with the way the country is being run, the way the country is being governed. It is said that those people have been financed, they have been mobilized, they have been incited, and therefore they will never address the real problem. What happened on Wednesday, Michelle, was the first anniversary of the GNC massacre of 2024 that was presided over by William RUTO and executed by Kithure Kindiki. And you know for sure how many people died after very serious abductions and extrajudicial killings. The Gen Z protests of 2024 was a spontaneous reaction by young people protesting, the issues of the Finance Bill 2024, mismanagement of the country, corruption, and general impunity that has been exhibited by this administration. The president then, under the pressure of the Gen Z, undertook to address all the issues that the agencies had raised. But once he was able to bring Raila on his side, and he got the political comfort that with Raila Odinga he doesn't need anybody else and nobody else can threaten his rule, he backtracked on all the issues that had been raised. And a lot of impunity has been exhibited in this country. And when it came to the first year anniversary, the young people once more came out.
Okay, so guys, Gachagua has been accused of actually financing the current demonstration that we just saw in 2025. Everybody in Parliament yesterday, on Thursday, came up standing on 2 feet and saying that Gachagua must be arrested. And of course, by Friday, all of us were expecting he's arrested. I'm surprised. He was being interviewed yesterday from his house, And so Kenyans are looking at everything that is happening. And the question is, was Gachagua really guilty of funding? If Gachagua is guilty, why is the government saying his allies too? Because if you look at his allies, let's quickly just go to Matiang'i in Kisii. Something that I don't know whether you watched. If you are here on this platform, I don't know whether you've watched. But I currently urge you, once you come to the platform, give me a like, subscribe to my channel if you're not a member, and continue listening to this and give contribution. What do you think, Politics is a hot topic. But we have to keep talking about it because everything in Kenya is happening around us because of politics, and economic growth is underlined by political leadership. We come to our social life, it is surrounded by the political aspects, so we cannot run away from politics and say let's not talk about it. Regardless of what happens day after day, we have to keep taking the bull by its horns. So guys, let's get to what happened in Kisii, just to listen a bit to this before we come back to the other. And now in this video, my focus is just to see the comparison of what the government thought about what happened and how they talked. It matters how you talk about something, how you address the citizens after something like this happens. Is it a blame game? Is it a condoning? Is it unleashing fire? Because if you look at CS Murkomen, for example, he was after unleashing fire, even when he was addressing young man at Kikuyu and telling them, Wewe, can you build a police post? Wewe, what are you saying? Yes, they are going to shoot if you appear near them. It was a kind of threats. When you look at Kindiki, blame game. We looked at the president, he was like dismissive. Anyway, that's my opinion. I don't know. In your opinion, you're free to give your opinion, because here we have different people. Those who are anti and for. And for me, I'm kind of neutral, but I'm feeling the pinch or the punch from the government and whatever is going on currently. So let's go into what happened at Kisii. Of course, we understand that there is someone there who is interested in running for the seat of president. That is Matiang'i, and Kalonzo Musyoka was there then. So in a funeral at about Sengera, what happened? Let's listen to this. Let's play this. Okay. Matiang'i is standing. He wants to address them. But there is so much noise that he doesn't know when they'll stop and when he will speak. Let's see. So he had even to speak in his language first. I just want where everybody will be calm, then he speaks. That's where I'm focusing here. He's still speaking in his language. Oh. There's a part. This one doesn't seem to. Yeah, so that is the situation that happened at Kisii. Let's get to more here.
GACHAGUA seeking their support in his quest for the top seat. In his address, Matiang'i also broke his silence on
here is the interpretation. I won't show it.
Claiming political persecution forced him to seek employment outside the country.
Okay, so of course in that funeral, there was demand that Matiang'i speaks, and when he stood to address them, he told them that indeed he will go where they want him to go. And of course, it turned into more of a political sitting than a funeral in Kisii, that is, right? And when you look at that situation, then you really do not actually understand whatever is cooking in Kenya. Let's get to Samuel. And of course, chaos were there because at some point when they saw like some MPs that are government affiliated standing, they did not want to listen. So I don't know, because the other day people are indicating that there is a coup kind of loading, and I wouldn't wish for a coup in a country. A coup is the worst thing ever, because when anything like a coup happens, everything goes down. Property is destroyed, lives are destroyed, wealth is destroyed, the economy is destroyed, and everything totally. Because I've read a lot about Sudan. In fact, I've done some document on that, and Nigeria and some other countries, and I don't actually would wish for such a situation. However, let's turn out, before we continue listening to GACHAGUA, let's listen to what our president said to talk about this protest that had been happening. And let's see his focus, because as a president, we expected that he would be there to show maybe a kind of empathy to the fallen souls, and then, maybe use some kind of intelligence, because there is a group who should be investigating on who financed what. But there is a formed opinion across the government leaders about who financed what. So let's see what our president says here. Let's listen to our president.
Karioko is very far from Bungoma or Kwale or the rest of the places. So what are we doing? To be able to enhance infrastructure available for space around micro, small, and medium enterprises. And prepaying. And because now we have, count yourself lucky that you may have run away with 100 or 200 or 500 shillings, but you have an opportunity further down the road, to use that borrowing history to improve on your credit rating. PRBs. I don't know whether you remember that. And or with hate and violence will only make things worse, not better. And let me say this for the avoidance of any doubt. I know many families are hurting because they have lost loved ones. I know many families are hurting because they have lost life savings and done so without reason. For the MSME sector, the sector that I speak to here, which contributes 80-85% of our jobs, we have 17 million Kenyans working in this site, in this space. We have done what we think is a plan that helps. We are consolidating, aggregating in a county aggregation industrial park so that we can equip those parks downtown. They will move. They will be in Kileleshwa. They will be in Lavington. They will be in Karen. They will be everywhere. And we shortly will not have a country. I don't know whether that is the direction we want to go. And if it's a question of terms, the Constitution already has sorted out and settled the issue of terms. Terms are limited. You can either be one term, you can be two term. Maximum. You cannot have more than that. So what is this craze about terms? The Constitution already provides for those terms. So please, let us look for the solutions of our challenges. And solutions cannot be found in terms. Solutions are found in strategy and a plan. Political leaders who are encouraging this movement towards violence and chaos and anarchy what is your plan? So you're telling these young people to burn the place. You're telling them to cause violence. So that what happens? So that we move to where? You know? So these are questions that we need to ask ourselves as Kenyans, you know? Because if we go this route, we will not have a country. Yes. And the country does not belong to William Ruto. The country belongs to all of us. And if there is no country for William Ruto, there is no country for you.
So the president, of course, in his speech was playing that is a bold move, trying to show that he will not go anywhere. And of course, people had been chanting, Ruto must go. So he asked, Ruto must go where? How do you want him to go? Which structure do you have? And for him, he's saying, of course, the Constitution has defined that you can be there 1 term or 2 terms, not more than that. Thank God that he knows, because at some point, there was an attempt that we had as citizens that they were planning to change the Constitution or something like that. Hope that this one is not just a strategy to make us understand that elections are the only way. And maybe the young people should also understand that it's not just about going to the street and making noise. It is also about voting, because most of them have been blamed many times for not voting. As much as they demand, it comes to voting, they don't have even the voters' cards. Now, of course, we go back to GACHAGUA, because he was the one blamed a lot for whatever was happening. Let's listen to this.
The Gen Zs are leaderless, they are tribeless, they have no structure, they have no organization. And again, Michelle, I think it is...
Yeah, now come to think of it, GACHAGUA is saying that those who are protesting don't have a structure, they don't have a constitution, they don't have a leader. But is he free from the claims of supporting protests? That is what we want to know. Because everybody has pointed a finger to him. Is it just because of claims that the government wants to be clean of the death cases that have happened in 2024 and the police aspects? Now let's just skip some part and get to see why GACHAGUA is arguing that...
Not a single goon was shot or arrested as we speak.
Yeah, so...
Wednesday, Michelle. The protests were very peaceful. The GNCs were not violent. They had water, they had smartphones. The violence was brought about by infiltration by goons who looted shops, escorted by police. You have seen videos all over, you know, thugs creating mayhem. As police watch, you have seen videos, some thugs arriving in police vehicles, you know. So, and as we speak today, many protesters were arrested, others were killed. Not a single goon was shot or arrested. As we speak, this happened on Wednesday. Today is Friday. All the people who entered shops, videos are there, the images are clear. None has been arrested.
Right. Let me just go back to what you said. There are allegations that these goons that you say infiltrated this protest were goons that you paid. You and your allies have been mentioned adversely. You've seen the Interior Cabinet Secretary mention that they do have intelligence, that this was...
Yeah, so have you heard that question? Of course, GACHAGUA being asked whether he sponsored the goons.
That Asia's Interior is walking in the streets of Nairobi in the morning, and you are saying that was an attempted coup. If they had intelligence that goons had been paid by Rigathi Gachagua or anybody else, why didn't they arrest these goons? If these were my goons, I want to tell you, Michelle, today they would have been shot dead. They would be in custody. Why, if they had intelligence that Rigathi Gachagua or anybody else for that matter had paid goons to come and cause chaos in Nairobi, why didn't they act on that intelligence? Why did they supervise the goons wreaking havoc in the streets?
Yeah, so guys, you hear that from GACHAGUA saying that he is not responsible for the goons who came to the city. We don't know as citizens. We had this information from Kimani Ichung'wah yesterday in Parliament. He said that he has evidence. And I was wondering, up to yesterday, GACHAGUA was not arrested. Today is Saturday, and I don't think he's arrested. The president was also claiming that there are leaders who are causing this anarchy. Anarchy is a very serious accusation, right? So if they understand that GACHAGUA is responsible plus his allies, why then are they still free? You know, that is the question I would also ask, just like GACHAGUA has asked. I don't say that he's clean, because I do not know. He knows himself better, or the DCI know better.
So Nairobi, how do they allow goons to go to a police station unarmed and take over a police station? And they had the intelligence. I think the CS Interior must respect the people of Kenya. People are not that stupid, you know. It is very evident that in Nairobi, the real goons came after 6 p.m. and downtown, River Road, Nyamakema, Tabeta Road, Lizuri Avenue. The havoc, the looting was done in darkness under police supervision. Why were these guns not shot? Why were these guns not shot? Why were they not arrested?
Yeah, so that's the position of GACHAGUA. Let's get to see the CS Murkomen anyway, so that we are getting to have evidence. And of course, Professor Ogola exposed some shocking details about what happened at OTC supermarket. We need to get to hear that, so that we are gauging the government and the people who are not in government and what they have to say about this. Let me just Google and find out something here as we go by. Yeah, because Professor Ogola came up with these accusations, and maybe we just have to listen before we can judge. And we also have to listen to, through Lynn Ngugi's show, there's something that was mentioned that I was shocked about. Yeah, so some 2 hours ago. Yeah, this one here. So I want us to, is it like 2 hours ago? I want us to listen to what he said 2 hours ago. And this is what Professor Ogola said.
Professor Fred Ogola, one of the commissioners for People's Restorative Justice Commission. Yesterday was an eyewitness to what happens inside Quickmart OTC supermarket. I went right inside. The policemen were all over the place. They were not allowing people to access the area, but even walk in that street nearby. We ate a lot of tear gas, but with a lot of resilience, I managed to get up to inside the supermarket. I also managed to talk to some eyewitnesses who observed the thing that happened between 4 p.m. on 25th up to very end yesterday, and they had a narrative they gave me. When I went to the supermarket, that narrative was confirmed. And this is the thing. When I arrived at the supermarket, I found that all the goods were more or less all intact.
Guys, we've heard a lot about this OTC Quickmart, and I was even, mixed up, because there was some old lady who came up saying that there was nothing like people being killed there. People were just looting and they went away. There was a narrative about, was it Kimani Ichung'wah, who came up saying that the IDs from Murang'a have been found there, and so they'll trace it. And I was even waiting up to today just to see the news coming up with these people arrested, because if the IDs were belonging to these fellas and they arrest them, they would easily get the narrative. So let's get to what Professor says here.
The sugar, coffee, Ungangano, name it, all the properties which were there were all more or less intact. There could also be electronic things which were there, which were not taken.
Yeah.
I even went inside the manager's office, nothing was taken. And you hope that normally when people are looting, the easiest thing to loot is money.
Yeah.
The manager's office was never broken into, nothing was taken. Even his computers were intact.
Yeah.
He was even able to take the photos of those things.
Yeah.
But I saw later that news came out that there was nobody's in the supermarket from Citizen, NTV, TV47 and the rest. I want to tell Kenyans that the story which is being told in the media currently is not true.
Okay.
This is what you need to believe. From the eyewitness report,
Yeah.
people broke into the supermarket and entered, and he gives the number to be approximately 50 people, if not more.
Yes.
And after that, what followed was that the policemen tear gassed the place seriously. So there's a lot of tear gas that entered the supermarket.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that supermarket has very poor ventilation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can go look at the walls. Just look at the walls yourself. There's not even poor. There was no ventilation because the supermarket was locked by that time.
Okay.
That means that these people must have been suffocated by tear gas and died.
Okay.
When the policemen discovered that the tear gas in the supermarket when people are inside without ventilation was dangerous and the people are dead, then they came up now. Murkomen went on site. The policemen cordoned the area so that they can remove the bodies is when they allowed the media to go in.
All right.
Why did the policemen allow the media to go inside with them at the same time? Why was the media entering the place around 6 p.m.?
Okay.
When they knew very well in the morning, when Murkomen was there, there are bodies inside there. So don't believe that story at all. Second,
We've got that. We've got that. We've got that. So, guys, you've got that story from Professor Gola, and you understand where he stands. So, let's get to another, because I saw another video again, which we must also follow, from Lynn Gogi. We'll just talk about it shortly because we can't cover everything here. And remember, Murkomen came up just after the demonstration the next day, and he was really apprehending the police for having done the kudos. Kudos for the good job, kudos. So he went about then later enhancing them, telling them, go about and shoot. You know, you can't tell somebody who has a gun, just go ahead and shoot. Sometimes you've seen how some these police can be unreasonable, even shooting their wives, girlfriends, you know, rivals and all that. So how do you go about and tell them, go, yeah, and shoot? Now from Lynn Gukit's show, there is a video, Murkomen's tribal divide strategy and shoot to kill orders fail miserably, you know? And maybe I would just want to understand why she says they fail. They fail. Why is she telling us that they will fail? You know?
Was for him. Should I go and save that lady? Na unaona hiyo tear gas ni innocent yenye wamerushiwa. Ni innocent. He's documenting and he's wondering, do I go and save this lady or do I go and get some fresh air? Because alikuwa amewezwa. And then right after, we will also play you a clip from Larry Mado so that you guys can tell us our watoto walikuwa wamekosea nani. Because the narrative you are trying to push, that the people who are protesting were chaotic. Now, that narrative will not pass. The narrative...
Yeah, so guys, as you can see, from the analyst point of view, and that is why we reaction is there. When you look at many reactors, or rather other bloggers and even other people who are just giving genuine information from the other point of view, you actually realize that Murkomen had to, you know, balloon the affairs and make them look like protesters were very bad. But then, from these videos that are being played even on Lynn Gogi, for example, you realize that some tear gas were being thrown at innocent people. You also saw the situation of Larry Mado, who saved some people who had been put at a very dangerous spot, and they were being thrown tear gas too, and yet they can't help themselves. And they were not goons, actually. These young people did not have anything in their hands, right? So the narrative that is being waved here, it's a different narrative from what we can know. Now, guys, As I told you, I'm comparing the government and the opposition. Now let's partly listen to Murkomen here. Already I played some time before I get back to Natembea and then back to Gachagua.
It's the loss to everybody. And more importantly, let me say this, that it is unfortunate that political actors are relying on media. It's not becoming independent enough to give both sides of the story. For example, you will hear that yesterday's report is reported as the protesters have arrived somewhere and they're looting. And you're still saying the protesters have looted shops. The protesters have done this, and you can see they're criminals. Meaning that the characterization of also the criminals, we are not taking the greatest responsibility as citizens. You've watched international media, except of course when they're reporting from Africa, and Nairobi especially, that they are very careful. When they're reporting about Israel, about America, about UK, they're very careful about their own countries. But when they come to our country, report it as it is.
So Murkomen is blaming the reporters, even the international, that they just report news as naked as it is. But when they are international reporting, they do hide some information. Now let's look at this and listen to what Gachagua said here when he was asked about the goons.
And if anybody had funded them, the first evidence would have been to arrest those people, and then they can give information as to who had funded them. Right. Why would a government let goons create mayhem under their supervision, under their very eyes, for and what they are saying has merit? And I disagreed with the president in a discussion between me and him, and I told him that I disapprove of use of force against young people, and he'll protect them. That is a lie, and they should not believe it. And I want to tell the police officers, they have seen what has happened. The police officers who tortured and killed Albert Ojang today are in custody. They are before court on their own. They are facing murder charges.
Yeah, so Gachagua is disapproving CS Murkomen for having cheated the police that they can go shoot and kill and he will defend them. He's actually quoting the case of the police who have been arrested and put in jail for having tortured Ojwang, because that was a lie. You know, before the camera, I didn't expect that of CS anyway. Let's go on. It's an advert that is disrupting my work. An advert. I don't know. These days, a lot of advertisements. There's an advert that has really interfered with what I was showing, because I just wanted to show something about this Gachagua argument before I get to Natembea, Kindiki, and close the chapter. Yeah, so the reality is that Gachagua's take is that he is not guilty. In his view, he's not guilty. He did not hire goons, and he's sorry for the fallen souls. He didn't go to the streets because he did not want to interfere with Gen Z's spontaneous reaction following the negligence of the government, and the fact that the government should blame itself instead of blaming him for whatever happens on the streets. He also has a take that the goons were hired by some people in government and not him. And remember, guys, beforehand, Sakaja had been implicated. However, he tried to come up on Thursday and say that he was not responsible for the goons, that they were just blaming him. The question remains, even just as Gachagua has asked, why is it that when goons were looting, the police were standing and watching them? Some of them were getting into the police cars. Some of them were beating protesters, you know, the peaceful protesters. So up to now, we've not understood the state of affairs in our country. And we are just listening to these leaders as they talk and wondering what actually they were after, you know. So let's get back to this one. I think the advertisements are over. They took quite a long time.
Good evening and
They are attacked by people who are unarmed. They overpower them, take over a police station and torch it. It's a movie. No shooting, nothing. No resistance. Some people just walk into a police station, take it over and torch it. That is, and you are not even told the inmates who are in the cells, were they released or not. There's nothing. It was stage managed. This is what happened. Let me give you an example in Kikuyu. The office of the DCC was torched. The locals were torched. They are guarded by police. Somehow the police were not there, and the torching went on. Then the leader of majority says some gangs wanted to attack his father, who is 101 years, but he was not attacked. It was just an attempt, but he was not attacked. Yet the police station, the law courts are attacked. Higher, you go to Nyeri. They burn Naiva supermarket of some fellow there in Nyeri town. But the supermarket owned by the member of parliament for Kenny, there is an attempted attack, but it is not attacked because it is personal. It is not meant to be attacked. It's just something you are trying to do. Then you find here in Nairobi, at night, all businesses owned by people from the Mount Kenya region are attacked. Okay? You find that several businesses are attacked. Police are there. Nobody is arrested. Nobody is stopped. It's simply a non-note on the community. Then the CS Interior comes and says, the goons in Nairobi were stranded, were from Murang'a, were from Nyeri, were from Kirinyaga, trying to profile a community to show that this issue that happened in Nairobi was done by the people from the Kikuyu nation. Doesn't model that can work for us to restore health care and make sure that things are working because of appearing to support the Gen Zs. That is how petty this administration is.
Yeah. So you've heard the side of GACHAGUA. GACHAGUA thinks that the politics is the ostrich politics. Now let's get to hear Kindiki here. Kindiki claiming that church incited youth. You know, apart from GACHAGUA, it's felt that the church also incited the youth. Let's listen to him here. Jamaa wa soprano.
Wale wahuni wengine walichoma police station, pia waliiba bunduki na risasi. That shows you all the...
Now guys, you've just heard clearly GACHAGUA asking, how easy is it to attack a police station and then take Amari? Why is it that these people are not even in any way confronted? Because we didn't hear of any death cases at Kikuyu, by the way. How comes it was touched down, and as they are saying, an attempt to attack the father to Ichungwa, yet they were not attacked? He has also clearly talked about Nyeri and later the CBD. And I didn't know, in my way, I didn't know that they were targeting specific shops or specific community. But that aspect of Murang'a, I heard about it and I was surprised. Anyway, we'll get to understand where those ideas came from. Let's hear
people who are responsible to inciting and organizing the chaos and mayhem are the target bigger than what was stated to be the target for yesterday's events. The government will never allow what happened in Kenya to ever happen again.
Okay.
In our country.
So Kindiki is promising on his 2 feet that nothing of that sort will happen. And so, after listening to Murkomen, listening to the president, listening to even the parliament, I did listen the other day. I thought I should listen to Natembeya. Also and see what did he say after the protest, and this is what he had to say.
Hili taifa la Kenya, Mwenyezi Mungu anatupenda. Lakini tukiendelea kumwaga damu vile tunamwaga damu, tunaomba matatizo yatakuja kutusumbua baadaye. Lazima tuanze kukuwa tolerant. Serikali nawaambia na mimi nakuwa nazidi kuambia. The moment unaenda kutafuta kura mbele za watu na kupatia kura. Kuwa mvumilivu. Panua roho yako kubwa. Mungu aweze na mambo aweke uchafu yote, batusi nini watu waweke hapo, maana wewe ni kiongozi. Hapana kuwa na hasira. Kuwa na hasira na umebeba bunduki. Bunduki na hasira yendi barabara moja. Ndiposa unaona mtu anapiga mtoto risasi. Obey the law. Lakini watu wakidefy the law, because there are reasons for defying the law. Hata ukileta jeshi, hata ukileta nini hautaweza. Na let me give you habari, taarifa ya habari leo kabla sijamaliza. Wakenya wamemaliza kila kitu. Ile kitu imebaki inaitwa matumaini, inaitwa hope. Hiyo ndio imebaki peke yake. Kwa nini wamekuwa kwa kwamba labda kesho mambo yatakuwa mzuri.
Okay, guys, so I just wanted to listen to Natembea so that I hear what he's saying. And of course, for him, he's blaming for the pouring of blood. For him, he rejects the fact of killings. Killings for him is not the way. Remember, he used to be a commissioner at one point, and people keep raising questions. Of course, sagas will come up, things like Yala. And yet, that Yala aspect has so many people involved. May God forgive us if anything happened. Yeah, so guys, that was brief travel through what the leaders have had to say. And so I leave it in your hands. Having listened to the government, having listened to the people outside government, including those who are not even anywhere like Professor Gola and Lynn Ngugi's show, and Larry Madoa, of course, has come strongly talking about here and there. You may go listen to David Wafula. You may listen to Lee McQueenie and many others. What is your thought? What is your thought? Who is telling us the truth, the government or the people outside? So, adios, guys. Let's meet another time for more reactions. And let's not sit aside and avoid talking about politics, because politics is one of the things that controls everything that we do. Yeah? So this is Prissy for you. I thank you, those who came about, especially Andreas Blocher, one of my followers from Sydney. I really love the fact that he is very loyal here, and any other person, support me, let me grow, so that we see what we can do for the community, even through this YouTube channel and more. Bye-bye for now.